Time flies. Welcome back to, as promised, SuperBrain exploration episodes. I didn't actually plan on coming back here anytime soon, but I went and saw my parents today. Big up my mum and dad. I love you guys so much. And they told me how much they missed this, or at least how beneficial this was for them and for others. And it wasn't a conscious decision to stop. I didn't decide that this was when I was stopping. I just noticed that I was becoming more hyper aware about how many people had listened or engaged. And I felt that was not the intention of exploring the book out loud. I'm not a content creator in that sense. I guess I'm a podcaster because I record myself and then do, but I stopped because I felt like the intention behind it had slightly altered for me, and in the depths and trying to be as fully conscious in my awareness as possible, I said, well, if this is not the intention in which I'm beginning, then can I really continue in that way? So I just stopped. But having spoken to my parents, my very, very incredible guides and leaders on this earth, I thought I'd come drop another one because I too have also returned back to patterns. And even though I feel like I am navigating life quite well, big up me, there are still patterns that consume me or return back to places of like overwhelm or feeling hopeless or feeling misunderstood and stuff like that. And as long as I understand myself, or at least I'm understanding the ways in which I'm evolving, it feels easier to navigate. So this episode actually is about ego, because I feel like my ego got involved when I stopped doing these episodes because I was aware that I was receiving some kind of validation. I had felt like I had learned something and was sharing it. I fully stepped into my role as teacher. And these things are that which you don't know who is listening. And I think that's a gift in and of itself. But also, it means that you can release the responsibility of needing to be thanked or acknowledge that you're doing something that might or might not empower, encourage, support new neural pathways, new ways of thinking, new ways of learning. Anyway, let's get into it. On my right wrist, inside, I have a tattoo that says ego is limiting, which I got from a different book. I believe it was from MetaHuman. And the idea that ego is limiting is because ego, we all have one, or probably like multiple versions of one. And ego, I believe, is attached to identity. But if identity is not real, and I know that sounds like a massive thought, but identity is just a lot of ideas, expressions, thoughts bundled together to create a sense of safety, a sense of difference, but also similarities with the other people that we journey on this plane with. And because everyone is individual and they have their own perspectives, unique ideas, and feelings, we often cling on to this identity as much as possible because it makes us feel like we believe in something. We're real. It gives us this sense of reality, this sense of presence. But if the journey is to grow and evolve and learn more about self, create neural pathways that encourage happiness, encourage fulfillment, encourage taking care of self, then you got to challenge the ego. You got to be like, yo, what's good? What's happening? Why are we still in the same place? What is it that we're actually afraid of leaving behind here with ego and identity? in order to discover what might be actually unknown territory. But I think that's really exciting, unknown territory. Places we don't know, places we haven't been, things we haven't thought about, feelings we haven't felt. I think it's super exciting because ultimately they will always come together to mold you into being the person, the masterpiece that you are, and how you share that with others and how you share that with self. In the episodes that I've recorded, really it's been about acknowledging the journey, the internal journey of self and the external journey of others. And I think the discovery has been understanding that caring for self, ultimately really investigating the internal landscape of self and making sure that it is fortified and juicy and just is doing whatever on the internal landscape actually allows you to navigate the external with a sense of peace, a sense of alignment, a sense of knowing thyself. I was going to sing a Drake song, but we don't chat about Drake no more. Anyway, how ego interferes. The world isn't fixed. It exists as we experience it and absorb it into our world view. The world isn't fixed is such a massive, wonderful, expansive thought because we're often told to live in binaries: good, bad, yes, no, right, wrong. But those are such fixed points in which one could navigate yourself, but it often doesn't leave room for mistakes or for learning. And making mistakes provides the experience for learning. Everything really that happens in life, if you adopt the perspective of, I'm not going to allow the world to be fixed, becomes an opportunity to learn. With awareness, you can turn around and be like, okay, that experience was interesting. Why? Or that experience was challenging. Why? My very big little brother, who I love, sent me a YouTube video a couple weeks back about the multiple levels of thinking and how overthinking is often demonized. It becomes a negative because apparently you spend too much time in your brain thinking about things that you can't change, this, that, and the other, and whatever. But this YouTube video allowed me to see my overthinking in a different light. It actually encouraged this idea that I was kind of exploring, which is, in order to navigate life with a sense of awareness, a sense of consciousness. I've been saying recently a lot, make conscious choices, make conscious choices. You actually have to acknowledge what has come before, acknowledge what is being experienced in the present, and acknowledge, well, we don't know about the future. The future, is entirely within the realms of our imagination and our brains and the neurons that we create and reinforce and whatever, reality making, blah blah blah. But there is a certain sense of responsibility of self if you can go, oh, that might be my ego talking, or oh, that might be because I'm attached to this idea of identity. Oh, that means it's stopping me from doing XYZ because I have this preconceived belief, or I have this ideal thought, or this is who I am and I can't change that. But change is the only thing, as we know, apart from death and bills, that is constant. Like, it's constantly present. We can't avoid those things unless you're a nomad and you don't know. Anyway, that's a side note. So anyway, that being said, this is going to be quite dense. So bear with me. I'm going to try and take it slow. If self-awareness does have an enemy, it's the ego, which seriously constricts your awareness when it steps beyond its appointed function. That function is vital. While billions of neurons are remodeling trillions of synapses in an always evolving neural network, your ego leads you to believe that all is static and calm in your skull. That is not the case. So we all navigate our lives going da 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 da, walking down the street, thinking that everything is, static, linear. I wouldn't say calm, but we can understand, we can comprehend that which is going on up here in our, I'm tapping my head, not that you can see me. But what is genuinely happening is that billions of neurons are remodeling trillions of synapses. And this is an ever evolving neural network. And the only reason we can't comprehend the absolute magnificent magicalness of what is going on in our brain is because our ego tells us that's not what is happening. Woo, getting excited. Words are getting jumbled in my mouth. The reason the ego does this tries to let us know that, or tries to mask, smoke and mirrors the capacity of that which our brain is moving and evolving at, is because without a sense of constancy, without a sense of that constant, I guess, calm or capacity to control, we'd be exposed to the tumultuous process of the brain reshaping itself as it responds to every experience we have, waking, sleeping, or dreaming. So even when we're asleep, our brain, I'm sure you know this, but even when we're asleep, our brain is also active, even though the activity is mysterious. I think in that time, it's probably when our brain is remodeling, relearning that which we try to implement during the day. And this is why it's really important to pay attention to the narrative of that which you talk to yourself about, because during the day, you are having these subconscious thoughts, telling yourself these things about self. When you're asleep, your brain is obviously going to reinforce the things that you have told during the day. I can't remember if I read it or heard it somewhere that the dreams are basically us processing what has happened during the day. But imagine if we're doing that with our thoughts as well. Once new experiences have registered on the brain, your ego assimilate, which is to take in and understand fully. You are the eye to whom new things are happening, adding to a storehouse of pleasure and pain, fear and desire that has been building up since infancy. Knowing that the brain's remodeling is always having an effect is important, even though your ego gives the illusion of constancy. So, knowing that the brain is always remodeling is important. I think it's important because if you are aware of the fact that your brain is constantly remodeling, you are only going to give it the things or try to give it the things that will strengthen, empower, sustain, celebrate, champion. Oh, come on, affirmative words. You will feed your brain the food it needs in order for it to be the most expansive tool, muscle, part of your body that you know or have the awareness of the capacity of which it can at that time. I don't even know if that made sense. What I'm trying to say, let me reload that. That's me rewinding. Knowing that your brain is constantly remodeling will allow you to offer it the opportunities to have stronger neural pathways that will encourage your growth, encourage your evolution, and encourage ultimately your fulfillment in life. It will also give you the courage and confidence to learn about other things, new things, financial literacy, strategizing how to get from A to B. What is it that I need? Oh, I want to be this kind of person. Oh, okay. If I want to be this person, I need to make sure I do A, B, C. Okay, it might take this time, might not take that time. All of knowing that your brain has the capacity to do that and being aware of it allows you to implement that which you can in your life to put you on the journey to get you where you need to be. Whew! Can I get a name, man? The book goes on to then talk about an experiment that the neuroscientist Rudy and his wife did for their daughter in her formative year between being born and 1 years old, which they didn't allow her to cry alone or unattended if she was crying, in order for a neural pathway to be reinforced, which is based on if I am in fear, if I am lonely, if I need something, if whatever babies cry for in those formative years, they will not be physically alone. So that when she gets older, she knows that she has the capacity because she's now fortified in the fact that she was like, oh, I knew my parents were always going to be there for me. I will always be there for me as an adult, which means codependency then doesn't happen, um other like self inflicting, negative self inflicting patterns wouldn't manifest in this young woman because her parents when she was young made sure that she always felt loved, which is powerful. It says here they wanted to provide their daughter's brain with a basis of happiness, security, and acceptance, not discontent, abandonment, and rejection, which is just incredible. Because at that age, of course, the world isn't fixed. So why do we fix it for ourselves when we get older? We will face the world according to the picture we have built up in our brain. We will face the world according to the picture we have built up in our brains, aka perspective. How do you look at life? That's a good question. How do you look at life? I think that's also a good question to ask self within moments of distress, stress, confusion, moments of fatigue, curiosity, everything. This goes back to what I was saying, 10 minutes ago, of I actually can't remember what I was saying 10 minutes ago. Isn't that crazy? This is why these podcasts are amazing. Because me, I need them just as much as whoever might be listening. The ego is absolutely necessary for the function of integrating all kinds of experiences, but it is prone to go too far. Egotism is the common term for extreme self centeredness, but that's not the issue here. Everyone is caught in a paradoxical situation with the ego. Paradoxical. Let's Google what paradoxical means so that we define paradoxica. Paradoxical, seemingly absurd or self contradictory. Okay, let's go back to that. It says everyone is caught in a self contradictory situation with the ego. That's actually funny. You can't function without one, but making everything personal can turn into ego delusion. I, me, mine overrides every other consideration. That is fact. Instead of having a point of view and strong personal values, which is the good side of ego, the egotist winds up defending his biases and prejudices just because he holds them. The bad side of the ego. The ego pretends to be the self, but the true self is awareness. You hear it? Let me reload it. Let me go back. Let me go back. Say it again. The ego pretends to be the self. I, me, mine, my car, my food, my house, my water, my tree, my land. But the true self is knowing that I am of the land. I get to eat. I get to travel. I get to share space. I get to have a home, a roof over my head, a bed. They're not mine. They don't belong to me because this too shall pass. You know, bills, death, and change. It's all in and of that essence. Money too exists there, comes, goes. And the problem is that we attach, this goes back to what I was saying about identity and attaching ourselves onto these um frivolous and quite, let's call them paradoxical things as well, paradoxical external stimuluses, self-contradictory stimuluses, by thinking materialistic things, or even people or their bodies, people's beliefs and minds are belong to others when they only belong to self. And it is self's responsibility to be aware of how that is navigated, how that is engaged with, how that is shared. I became aware that I was sharing parts of myself, which led into me wanting to, I don't know, receive some kind of validation. I wanted to know how many people were listening, how many people, and I was like, that's not the reason I'm doing this. The awareness actually made me stop doing this. And I guess awareness has also brought me back. I should say my parents brought me back. I'm aware that my parents brought me back. I don't know if I'm going to come back next week though. I don't know. That's a whole nother thing. Your true self is awareness. When you shut out any aspect of experience by saying, that's not me, or I don't want to think about it, or this has nothing to do with me, you are excluding something from your awareness, building up an ego image rather than opening up to the endless possibilities of reality making, which comes from the learning of life, being aware enough to be vulnerable enough to just learn from life in whichever capacity life wants to give itself to you. Being in the ego is narrow minded, it creates narrow mindedness, and that comes at a price of reduced or imbalanced brain activity, which can be seen in brain imaging. New experiences equal new neural networks. They cause remodeling, which keeps the brain healthy. Listen, let me tell you a secret. I like new experiences a lot. I'm not great at. I, it's hard. Okay, so I'm thinking particularly about my art and as a storyteller. And yes, I like new experiences because I love telling new stories. But oftentimes I can find that if I'm in a process with someone that I'm like, oh, I don't know how to navigate this, I can be quite, I can be, yeah, let's say I'm challenging. No, is the word challenging? Resistant. Because I like feeling, oh, come on, awareness. Okay. I like feeling like I know that my work is efficient, my art and my craft is efficient. I like feeling like I am capable of delivering. And I guess I just like being on top of my shit. I like feeling on top of my stuff, you know? But then that doesn't offer me an opportunity of a new experience, which is, well, what happens if you don't feel like you're on top of your shit? That's scary. That makes my hands sweat a little bit. I can't lie. But then new experiences equal new neural networks. They cause remodeling, which keeps the brain healthy. I love this. I love this. The brain uses emotions to serve our instinctive needs, which are geared at ensuring survival. You must use your emotions to empower your passion for reaching personal goals. You must utilize your intellect to strategize. And finally, you must detach your awareness to acquire the sobriety needed to achieve those goals. That's a big sentence. So I went and broke it down. You must utilize your intellect, utilize, which means make practical and effective use of. So you must make practical and effective use of your intellect to strategize. Strategize means to devise a strategy, as we know. But let's figure out what strategy is. Strategy is a plan of action designed to achieve in a long term of overall goal. I don't know what that says. But basically, strategy, a plan of action, which is designed to achieve something over a long term. So let's go back. You must make practical and effective use of your intellect to create a plan of action which is designed to allow you to achieve your goal in the long term. And finally, you must detach your awareness to acquire the sobriety needed to achieve those goals. So let's talk about, oh no, I've done it wrong. Okay, this sentence is so. Okay, let's go back and try and break down the sentence again. Damn, I'm stuck. This is not a joke. Okay, yeah, breaking down this sentence is it's juicy, but it's gonna take. Okay, so the sentence we are breaking down: you must utilize your intellect to strategize. You must make practical and effective use of your intellect. Let's break down intellect. Intellect is the faculty of reasoning and understanding objectively, aka, it's also a person's mental powers, it's your powers. But let's go back. The faculty of reasoning and understanding objectively. What is faculty? Faculty is an inherent mental or physical power. Inherent. Inherent. Existing in something as permanent, essential, or a characteristic attribute. So, whew, this is jokes. You must make practical and effective use of your existing, permanent, essential, mental, and physical power of reasoning and understanding objectively to devise a strategy, which is a plan of action designed to achieve your long term goal. I love it. I just love it. A strategy is also the art of planning, directing overall military operations and movements in a war or battle. And I think that part is particularly interesting because it goes back to the idea of paradoxical, which is the self contradictoriness of the ego and the awareness. We know that leaning too far into the ego means that we don't actually use our essential, permanent capacity, mental powers to make a plan that will allow us to reach our long term goals because we're not even aware that that is our responsibility. And I know it's really big thoughts, really big ideas, really big, but I think it starts with a very simple thought, which is I am aware. I am aware. I'm just aware. I'm aware of self. I'm aware of how I feel. I'm aware of what I'm thinking, listening to self, hearing self. I'm aware of what I'm feeling. I'm aware of what I'm eating. I'm aware of where I'm going, like physically. Like, am I getting on a bus? I'm aware of literally, do I feel tired? Do I feel strong? All of these different opportunities to allow us to not only keep our ego in check and not allow it to contradict the evolution of self, but also continue to evolve, and ultimately navigate life from a point of view that is born of joy. It's born of peace. It's born of, I can handle this situation because I'm aware. I can handle any situation because I'm aware. I can do anything. I can do everything. I can do it all because everything is a lesson. Everything is a gift. Everything is an experience. And ultimately, knowing that the brain, billions of neurons, trillions of synapses are taking in the information that I'm giving it, or the information that is being given, and they're molding my life experience according to that. I'm like, well, of course. Of course, I'm going to be on top of it. Of course, I'm going to be aware of it, inside it, all around it myself. So, yeah, the responsibility is yours ultimately to continue to question that which is going on the internal landscape, and question how the external stimuluses, what is happening externally, affects internally. What will we allow? What will we allow? Well, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I don't know when the next one's gonna come out. I don't know. Hopefully this one made sense. Um, but if not, I think it makes sense to me, and I'm happy with that. Thank you for listening. I hope you have the best week. And I hope this serves you in any way possible. You are not your ego. The ego is not yourself. And it limits you. You are you are limitless. I was going to say unlimited, which is also true. Yes. You're unlimited. You are limitless. So let's not allow our egos to tell us otherwise. Got to put that down. Connect with each other. Anyway, love y'all. Thanks, Mom and Dad, for making me do this. I love you so much. Have a great week.